We need to press record. Thank you. You guys are just on top of it. So welcome to Surviving and Thriving. I would like to introduce you to our presentation team today. I am Kathy, in elementary school ELA TSS, and I am joined today by my colleagues, secondary science TSS, Heather Summers, and elementary school ELA TSS, Andrea Quintana. We also want to thank Dr. Maggie Carrillo for joining us as tech support today. Thank you, Maggie. We are the designers of this session, and it is truly based on a love for our profession. Just wanted to share, take a moment and ground ourselves. When we say we have a big love for this profession, we really mean it. For me, there's nothing greater, nothing more awesome than planning a unit so carefully, your students showing up and making you throw the plans out the window because what their ideas were better than your ideas. And that sort of spark of brains coming together is why I love education. Heather, why do you love education? Why is this your career?
So I came to education as a second career. My training is in chemical engineering, but I was allowing other people to raise my kids. So I came to education so I could be on the same schedule that they were, but really just love to see that light bulb moment in my students.
Thank you, Heather. Andrea was just coming from another session. Andrea, are you here?
I'm here. I made it.
Andrea, what do you love about education and teaching?
Oh, so many things that I love about education and teaching. I also came to teaching as a second career. I left the nursing field to become a teacher. I was a kindergarten teacher for 20 years. I never left kindergarten. It was my home. It was my place. It was my joy. And every day was different. And every day students found something that they loved and were passionate about. And their passion grew my passion. And still to this day, love 5-year-olds and love education.
So I'm basically like 6 5-year-olds with my age. So do you love me 6 times more?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I knew the math would work out. So thank you everybody for joining us. We know as new teachers, you come in with this beautiful passion as well. And this session is a little bit about safeguarding that passion, about making sure that it is with you 20 years down the road, like Andrea and Heather, who've been teachers for a long, long time. I made them sound really old, and I apologize. But we are going to begin this session by focusing on our why. This session is something our team is passionate about. And we had long discussions when we were building this on what we wish we knew as early career teachers and what helped us out on those really hard days. And a lot of our work here today is derived from a fantastic article we cannot recommend enough by Sonia Nieto. And it's an ASCD publication. We linked it here, but you'll hear us reference it many times because it is such a great article to read. And it's something I recommend bookmarking and tucking away for yourself. It is such a solid piece. So our agenda, right? We are going to start with the legacy question. That's going to be me, and I'm going to pass it to Heather at that point for spheres of control. And Andrea is going to bring it home with actions that you can take and reflection. So let's start with that legacy question. The legacy question asks us to look at the big picture. What is the bigger picture happening around us? And this big picture is what's going to ground us in all of our work. And Heather, if you just skip ahead for me. Beautiful. And we just want to recall, this is one of those beautiful things from the article that really grounds us, is that it takes a great deal of dedication to walk into school every day with enthusiasm, energy, and love, often in spite of conditions that make doing so a constant struggle in our profession. And this is from that wonderful article we can't recommend enough. And so with that in mind, we are going to begin our first activity. And this is interactive reflection for you. So what I need everyone to do, and I'll give you a moment to do it, is to make sure you have a pencil and a piece of paper. Make sure it's not a piece of paper that you're going to throw away, because this is going to be big. I hope. The bigger go home, right? Some say. Just a couple more seconds for our friends to get some paper. And I'm going to ask each of you with your paper and pencil to write down thoughts as we go. But of course, this presentation you'll have access to if you want to revisit in the future as well. So in this legacy question, this is like a reflective activity where I'm going to have you think really carefully about a student. And when we begin this activity, it doesn't have to be a student that you have had in your own classroom, but maybe a student taught with, or somebody that you have tutored. Some of us haven't had a classroom before, but many of us have. Okay, so I want to ask you to call to mind a student who is struggling, a student in whom you see some potential and that you care about. I'm going to pause for a moment to give you a chance to think about that. What's the student's name? Take a moment to write their initials. What is something you appreciate about them? What's something maybe they're struggling with? Now I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that it is 10 years from now, and you get an email, pops into your inbox that's usually just full in the mornings. You see one email, and that student says to you in this email, I don't know if you remember me, but you were my teacher 10 years ago, and I'm graduating next month. I wanted to invite you. You know, you're probably super busy and maybe you've had bad memories of me, but I'd be honored if you were there. You pause, you can really imagine that. Now, you aren't sure if you can go, but at the very last minute, you decide to go. And when you get there, you end up sitting right behind the student's family. When your former student crosses the stage, looking so mature in that cap and gown, and when they look at their family, who are screaming and cheering their name, the student also sees you. A huge smile spreads across their face. Now, when your student returns to their seat and after the ceremony is over, what do you want them to say to their friends about you? About how they remember you as their teacher? How do you want to be remembered? I'm going to pause here for 2 minutes for you to write down your thoughts to answer this question. How do you want to be remembered? As you finish up your thoughts, I just want to call attention to the chat. It's a very emotional exercise. It really helps you remember your why. I really love this. Andrea says she's gone to 2 weddings of former kindergartners. And Heather, like, I almost started crying when you said that a baby was named after you. That is so powerful to really answer that question, how you want to be remembered. Wow. So thank you for sharing. So with your reflection that you've just written, we're going to try to take one word or one phrase from that whole reflection where you wrote down how do you want to be remembered. And I have a challenge for you, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to get started on it. But we want to pull out, go back one, Heather. We want to pull out one phrase or one word that sits with you as the most powerful thing that you'd like to remember from your short reflection. And if you feel comfortable sharing that in the chat, I'll give us another 2 minutes to pop that in the chat, and I will narrate them as they come in as well. How do you want to be remembered? Be kind and be curious. Kind, impressionable, believe, deeply caring. Met them where they are at. Patient. Made me feel seen. Supportive. Compassionate. Non-judgmental. Empathy. Where they feel safe, secure, and loved. Empathetic. Be hard on systems, but kind to individuals. Inclusive. Kind, considerate, inclusive. My advocate. Positive. Honest. Thank you for your vulnerability, for sharing what you've written. My challenge for you all is to take that word, to take that phrase, and to make something that will remind you of how you want to be remembered. And just like how we spend so much time setting up our classrooms and creating our unit plans, what I'm going to ask you to do is worthy of your time in the same exact way. And you can go ahead, Heather. My challenge for you is to take this word, to take this phrase, and make it into art, a desktop background. Stick it on a Post-it note somewhere where you'll see it constantly. Make it your phone lock screen. I want you to keep it close, because as we said, this career is beautiful. We're so passionate about it. And the article really highlights is there are hard times, there are hard days. If I were to share with you how many times I've wanted to quit but didn't, these words, this phrase, this heart song for how you want to be remembered is something to keep close to carry you through those harder days. And we have more strategies for you than just this on moving from surviving to thriving. And Heather is going to share next with you on spheres of control. So thank you all.
Thanks, Kathy. We, as our team of teacher support specialists, have worked with spheres of control quite a bit. And I wanted to start this session with an Elena Aguilar quote that says, "Setting an intention gives you the opportunity to declare how you want to be in a situation. And ultimately, that's all you have true control over. How you show up, how you experience something. This is one of the most powerful routines you can integrate into your daily life. I can almost guarantee that if you try it every day for a month, you'll feel different and perhaps even transformed." So spheres of control are something that we've spent lots of time looking at, and I want to bring this to this early career time frame. So what I'd like to do is first take 1 minute to think about your work life, your personal life, or both, and list all of your complaints or concerns. It can be as many as you'd like. Some of mine would be, I don't exercise enough. I hate waking up at 5:30. I'm overwhelmed. And my ever famous phrase is, what did I get myself into? So if you take about 1 minute to write down your list, we are going to come back to this throughout this session. As you finish up your last concern or complaint, we're going to code each of these complaints or concerns with 3 different tags. 1, within my control, 2, within my influence, or 3, outside of my control and influence. So take 1 minute to code each of your concerns. And as you get yours complaints and concerns coded, next we're going to take about 1 minute to reflect on each of these prompts. What category did you have the most concerns in? Which ones are outside of your control and influence? And notice how your body feels when you reread those. Of the things that are outside of your control, are there any that you can shift your attention and look at differently so that you have more control over them? And are there any that you'd just like to let go of? So I'm going to give you about a minute to reflect on those prompts. Take about 10 more seconds to finish your reflection. And now what are we going to do with those? We're going to look at just the ones that are in your sphere of influence or control. What I'd like you to do is identify one concrete action that you could do to address this complaint or concern. And if you'd like, please share that in the chat. Oh, procrastination gets the best of me. I've been teaching for 15 years, and the first day of school always makes me nervous. But I think one day at a time is definitely a good way to do that. 10 minutes at a time, one class period at a time. Oh, Jacqueline, I need to exercise every day too. And Kathy, you bring together a good point. Ask for help. There are people that are willing and would love to help you. Just know who to ask. And we're a good person group that if you don't know who to ask us and we'll find the person to help you out. So the spheres of control, this is a modification from Elena Aguilar's Spheres of Control and Influence. And what I like about this is that these are not solid rings, right? There is a gap between them because there is some overlap between what you can control and what you can influence. And you get right up to that edge of you have no control or influence, but maybe you can push it just a little bit more. So if you look at this not as a static diagram, but a moving diagram, perhaps your control can get larger over time. But what we want to look at right now is what you can control and what you can influence. And the things that are outside of your control and influence, just let go. So now we're going to look about complaints and concerns about teaching, right? I always like to do an activity like this with something that is not content-based. But now we're jumping into our content, which is what are your concerns about teaching? That's what we want to talk about right now. So for the next 3 minutes, we're going to follow that same protocol. And we are going to list as many complaints or concerns that we have about teaching, code them with either in my control, in my influence, or outside of my control and influence. And then we're going to use that same process to work through the things that are inside your control and inside your influence. Please add these to the chat as you come up with them, but I'm going to go ahead and start my timer for 3 minutes to make sure you have time to reflect on these. I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds. Know that we will be addressing the answers to your concerns and complaints in here as much as we can after this session, we will send out an email to all of you to do our best to find the people that will help with your complaints or concerns. David, I'm sorry you're having problems about licensure. Christy, you have to work with the balance for work and home life, but it's been so difficult this year. I feel like I live at work most of the time. Juan, we all have those issues. We all have that concern. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute to add anything else into the chat that you'd like to, but I'm going to leave you guys with a quote. The key to using our energy is to use our energy where it counts. The more we focus on what is in our control, the more effective we will feel, the happier we will be, and the more we will be able to tackle what is within our sphere of influence and control. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Andrea, who is going to talk about all of the things that you can do to help out.
All right. First of all, I just want to say how brave and wonderful you are for entering this amazing profession and carrying with you all of these concerns for your students and for the well-being of children that you haven't even met yet. And so thank you for doing this work. It is hard, but it is the most rewarding thing that you'll do. And so thank you for taking the time to learn with us in the summer, to be more prepared as you move into your school year, and for following your calling to be an educator. So as we start thinking about what can you do, from the article, there are some ideas that I just want to pull to your attention as ways that you can stay in control and as well to maintain that balance and survive, not just survive, but really thrive. And so the first one is stay true to you. You really can't fake your way through teaching. And if you try and teach like the person next door to you, you'll oftentimes leave feeling uneasy and unsatisfied with the job that you did. So I really say stay true to you. Be the teacher who you are meant to be. And it's really hard, I understand, but don't compare yourself to the person down the hallway or the teacher that you once had. Everything comes in time, and the more you bring yourself and your true authentic self to your classroom, the better off you will be. So for me, I was not the sing-a-song kindergarten teacher. That was not me. And I always felt like, oh man, look at those kindergarten teachers with their guitars out. I mean, I started in the 90s, right? And so they had their guitars out and they had their funny outfits that went with every theme that they did. And that wasn't me. I couldn't do that. But what I could do was spark interest in students, and I could create curiosity, and I could give experiences to them. And that was me. We could play with earthworms, and we could explore outside. And so staying true to yourself in the classroom that you're in is going to be so much easier than trying to become the teacher that you think you should be. So stay true to yourself is always going to give you those positive rewards. The second thing is that teaching is a very isolating profession. Oftentimes you walk into school, you're in your classroom, you're all by yourself all day. So connect with others. Find a friend, an ally, a mentor. We are here to connect with. Find others that you can connect with so that you can debrief your day, that you can talk about strategies that you want to incorporate, and you can inspire each other to keep going. The more people that are in your sphere with you doing this work, the better off you're going to be. You're going to be more motivated, more engaged, and more excited to do that work. So find any way that you can connect with others. Some of the best advice I ever received, and it was late in my career, was that very first staff meeting that you walk into. Who is the person in that staff meeting who's leaning in and nodding their head and saying, yeah, we're going to do this? Who's that person that's all in and ready to take a risk, ready to try something new, and ready to really explore this teaching profession. Go to those people. Oftentimes the people that are like, nope, can't be done. This is the worst ever. This summer was too short. I don't want to be here. Those are the teachers that are going to drag you down. So that first day of school, when you walk in, those teachers that are nodding their head and saying, yeah, we got this. Yeah, this is going to be the best ever. Those teachers are going to energize you and really might want to be the connection that you choose to make. I noticed that even starting yesterday with this group of early career teachers, finding those connections of people in the chat and encouraging each other and saying, hey, we got this, and reach out to me and dropping emails, and I'm so excited to be here. Those are the people that you want to surround yourself with. So find others that you can connect with, because that will really help spark your classroom and your joy. The other thing I want to pull out is take some risks. It's okay to make mistakes. Nobody ever knows what's going to happen day to day in a classroom. And it's okay to fail. It's okay for the lesson to explode on you. It's okay to not have the materials ready. The idea is to keep showing up. The idea is to take that risk to show up and to be as prepared as you can for the students that you have in front of you. I always gave the advice, if all else fails, read a book, right? If it's all going crazy and you don't know what to do, grab a book. Students love to be read to in kindergarten. Students love to be read to in 7th grade. Let everyone just take a deep breath, pause for a minute, and read a good book. You can always pick it up and carry on in the next moment. The last thing that I want to share with you is rest. This job is hard. You're managing young people that you care about. You want to see successful. You want them to be the best, and you want to be your best for them. That requires you resting and really creating that work-life balance between yourself and your classroom. At the end of the day, walk away. Find that time that you need to plan and prepare, and also find that time when you can say, I'm not doing that now. I'm not doing that today. Find the things that bring you joy and schedule like an appointment that has to be done so that you make sure that that happens. So every night, 5 o'clock, I'm going to walk my dogs and I'm going to breathe. And I am not going to get away from that. I'm going to make sure that that stays in my life, because oftentimes as teachers, it's hard to stop. It's hard to find that point where you can say, I'm going to pick this back up tomorrow and walk away. So schedule in the things that are meaningful to you, the things that bring you peace and joy as an appointment that can't be missed. That way you can make sure that you're going to get those things done. And also, it's okay to ask for help so that you don't have to do the entire lift all by yourself. We are here to help you. And don't feel like work has to carry on when there are others that are happy to help do that work for you. Teaching is an art of assisting in discovery. So make sure that as you learn with your students, you also learn as yourself as a teacher. Take that time and allow yourself that grace. So as we get started, let's give ourselves three things that we're going to be able to do. We're going to plan ahead so we can do what's within our control. We're going to ask for help and get the support that we need, knowing that we're here for you. And we're going to reflect on those small successes, because those small successes will really build into bigger successes. So as you get started, if you can keep those things in your mind, I'm going to plan ahead, I'm going to ask for help and get the support that I need, and I'm going to reflect on those small successes at the end of each day. Sometimes you might even want to just journal down the things that went really well, the students who lit up, the student who answered and usually never responds, the parent who sent in a nice note to you. Those things are going to fuel you and keep you going. So reflect on those small successes, because they can build into what you do in the future. Don't forget that we are here to help. I don't want to say that too few times. We are definitely here to help. So to help keep you going, we're going to take a minute and we're going to do a reflection. Now, first, we're going to think about the things that we learned today, and then we're going to do something really fun, and we're going to write ourselves a letter. We're going to hold ourselves accountable. So as you reflect on what you've learned today and as you prepare to go into your classroom, what will success look like in the first month, the first semester, or even in your first year? What is one big idea that you will start with? What's that one thing that you're going to carry with you? How will you build on what works and continue to grow? And how will you plan for success in your lessons and in your career? So as you reflect on those, I know we've kind of done that through the session today. I want to give you one more minute to think about those ideas, and then we're going to write a note to ourselves. So I'm just going to give you 1 minute to think about these ideas. What will success look like? How will you build on what works? What's that one idea you want to take with you? When you're ready, we're going to use a website called futureme.org. Just dropped it in the chat for you. It's also connected to these slides. Futureme.org gives you the opportunity to write yourself a letter. It says, "Dear future me." You get to write down, "Hey, don't forget to schedule time for that thing that brings me joy. Hey, don't forget to celebrate those small successes." Date your letter for October the 25th. That'll be right about the 9 weeks mark. You'll start to get ready for progress reports. You'll be right about in the middle of your semester. You might be starting to feel, oh my gosh, where am I in this school year? This letter will come back to you. It'll come right to your inbox, and it will remind you of all of these things that you were going to keep in mind. Also, Heather, Kathy, and I have also gave ourselves a notice, and we're going to check in with you on that day as well. So on October 25th, use that Future Me website and give yourself a quick letter. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes to jot down some ideas. Click on that link and start a letter to yourself. We're going to take about 4 minutes to do that. All right. Hopefully that was enough time to start that letter to yourself. Remember, send it to the future, that big button at the bottom, so that you make sure that you get that coming to your inbox. And it's going to remind you of all those exciting things that you learned and talked about today, and hopefully fuel you to continue off to get to that winter break, which all teachers need and wait for. We are so glad that you were here and able to join us today. Hopefully we gave you some great tips and tricks to help you thrive in this upcoming school year. As always, please reach out to us if there's ever anything we can do to support you. Our emails are on that presentation, and we are happy to help at any moment. Now, when we say we're happy to help, we can do a lot of different things to support you. As you move into your classroom, if you need help with designing your classroom space, we can help with that. If you want support with curriculum, we can help with that. If you need help with planning or prep work, we can help with that. If you need behavior systems to really help reach your students, we can help with that. Really, there's nothing out of our control that we don't know. Again, like Kathy said, we're old. We've been doing this a really long time. And so we're here to help in any way. So please use us. You can get a hold of the entire team at tlnteam@aps.edu. That gets all of us and whoever is able and knows how to support you and the question that you might have. We will be there to help you. We wish you the best in your first year back, and hopefully you have the rest of your day of learning here with us, and thank you for being here with us today. We will stick around for any questions, and if not, off to your next session. Thank you for being here. I see Marissa has a question.